Moral relativism is rather really simple, and it's an empirical thesis that there are conceptually different moral decisions. So therefore, moral judgment is not absolute, but relative to some group of persons. So it's kind of really different from the Kantianism because there's nothing absolute, but it's kind of like relative to the every situation. And as a general rule of thumb in the 21st century, we like to encourage tolerance of certain views. And then when we actually see the class slides, there's something like cultural diversity and cultural variety kind of thing. And that applies to this one here. And the difference between cultural relativism and ethical relativism is on the next slide. And cultural relativism is the same word for sociological relativism. It's the descriptive view that different groups of people have different moral standards for evaluating acts as right or wrong. And the ethical relativism, the first one, that different groups of people ought to have different ethical standards for evaluating acts as right or wrong. So when you actually see it, as a cultural relativism is a descriptive point of view, and then ethical relativism is a different one. It's like you ought to have to do it. And then the second one is these different beliefs are true in their respective societies, and these different beliefs are not instances of basic moral principle. So he actually mentioned in the class slides that cultural relativism describes the way people actually behave, and ethical relativism prescribes the way people ought to behave. So that's the big difference. For the criticisms of relativism, universalists argue that there is a universal truth and that differences on the face of things are simply different groups applying the universal truth differently. So what they're arguing is there is a one base moral thing, but in every society the application is different, but the moral base is all the same thing. And also, social cultural relativism is not an ethical doctrine at all because it tries to describe what people's moral beliefs are. It says nothing about whether any of them are preferable to others. So if you guys actually want to add more things on the criticisms, it's kind of open. But the major one is that actually, like the relativists are arguing that there's a different moral things going on, but actually the criticism saying that the application is what makes difference, not the base moral. So I think that's the biggest criticism.
Any questions? No? All good? Sweet. All right. Good job.